Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice. It's a brand new week, the sun's shining bright. A chance to cast your net, step into the light. Life's full of challenges, it's a winding stream. But with Coach Rice, you'll find your dream.
Happy Monday to you all. You are listening to Casting the Net, Mondays with Coach Price this Monday morning, beautiful day. I just want to introduce my special guest, Michael Hughes. He's a business owner, entrepreneur, and CEO of BetterGo. And he opened this company up not just to fill a market gap, but to respond to something that's deeply human. And that's the emotional and psychological toll that comes with global mobility. And we're going to delve into that within our conversation. And as you know, that it's crucial to come to the platform all the time because we care about your mental health and well-being. So, Michael, tell us where you're from. What made you open up BetterGo, and where did this passion come from?
Yeah, absolutely. And feel free to tell me to stop because this can be a long story for sure.
I bet.
So, as many of those who might be tuning in as well, where I come from is a bit of a hard answer. I was born and raised in the suburbs outside of Boston. I went to school in New York, and then pretty much soon after, I was overseas for most of my adult life. I was in between places like Cairo, Egypt, South Korea, and several different cities throughout China. My formal kind of educational background, etc., was in cross-cultural studies and comparative religions. So that kind of opened the door for me for international travel abroad. I did a lot of language study programs. So, for example, when I was in Cairo, I was studying Islam and Arabic. And then when I was in Korea, I was studying kind of the history flow of Zen Buddhism, which is more of a Japanese-esque type of Buddhism, but in Korean, it's Son Buddhism. And in China, the same thing. So during those experiences, I myself have relocated, gosh, I think 5 or 6 times now. And when I was ready to graduate from college, undergrad, I got recruited by an NGO to go to the border of North Korea. And at the time, it was because my background, my second language was actually in Korean. So the individuals that lived in that area, ethnically, they're Korean, but they hold Chinese passports. So hence they'll speak Korean. They'll know Chinese, of course, as well. But just like here in the U.S., we've got people that may have American passports, but they speak Spanish or they speak Haitian or they speak whatever other language, that's out there. And they identify with that community and that group. So when I got recruited out there, it was this amazing process, and I didn't know it at the time. It was just for me, it was the first time I was ever experiencing it, so I thought it was just this is how it is. But we did a series of engagement to get paired to go to these locations because they were kind of rough areas. They were not, I mean, the area that we were living in was really outback. We had outhouses and stuff like that. It was a different world. And so what this organization did was they took a group of us, probably around 300 people, and they put us in a hotel in California, La Quinta, and we went through a month long of training and adaptation program. So it was cultural training, it was language training. And at that same time, we were actually meeting with a counselor who was a certified therapist. And the idea at the time was really this person is going to be with you through your entire assignment. They're going to be supporting you when you need, if you have any need to reach out or call them, but they're also going to be proactively checking in with you. And once a quarter, we'll come visit you in person and spend the day with you. So it was a really, at that
Wow.
time, I thought it was a very innovative program. And I didn't realize it at the time. But what they were doing is one of, as you know as well, Martha, one of the hardest barriers in terms of mental health is people actually taking the step to reach out to ask for it. There's this hurdle of what does it say about me? What kind of person do I become? What stigmas do I fall into? So they removed all of that. So fast forward, now I'm in my career. I started working in the relocation industry, and that's kind of my profession. And after that first experience with an NGO, I fell into it because my language, my experience, all that kind of stuff. So a 1 year assignment in China became 15. And
Wow.
during 15 years, I was supporting Fortune 500 companies that were moving talent into China, specifically companies like GE, GE Aviation, Boeing, Microsoft, Nokia. They had a massive project where they actually closed down their Scandinavian offices and opened them in China and moved over 200 people on 4 year assignments to basically build up operations in China and then essentially let them go. So that was a whole experience working in that area. But what I realized was that entire industry is operational. It's logistical. How do we get your visas done? How do we get your housing done? How do we get, we call it TMS or EMS, which tenancy management, the light bulb goes out, the water breaks, you're in a foreign country, you don't know how to handle it. Expenses, how do we do utilities? It's all these really, really technical things that we were handling for folks. And then lo and behold, 15 years comes up and my company says, hey, we got a global role. We need to move you back to the US. Are you open to it? I said, sure, what the heck? Why not? So this was miss COVID in the middle of it, and I
Oh,
start to move
wow.
back. Now, mind you, when I left with literally a backpack and some dirty socks. I mean, I was just out of college. And now I'm coming back. I have a dog. I got a 40-foot container. I have a husband, and life was completely different. So at this time, I started to realize, like, wow, I have 15 years of expertise understanding how to logistically put together a move from anything and everything that you can think of. I mean, even language and things like that. Like, so I had all my bases covered because I knew personally
Wow.
each of the vendors that provide these services. I was like, I got this. I'm good. I'm rolling. And when we came back to the United States, within like 6 months, it was very, very apparent that you can have everything work out perfectly. And for us, I mean, I think it was actually a good thing that it did, because if there were problems, we would have been focused on the problems and would never discovered BetterGo. But what happened
Mm.
was everything went so damn smoothly. It's kind of like looking out on the ocean when it's very calm and you feel like this weird thing, like, wait, what's wrong here? I started to see all the problems. And the biggest problem was my family was moving back to the United States, me being American, my partner being Chinese born and raised. How are we an interracial couple going to exist here in the United States? But then also, our lifestyles are going to completely change. And by that, I mean, I was coming back with purpose. I had a job, I had a career that I was looking forward to. I was moving into an executive role with my company. It was a big step. So for me, everything was like, empowering. It was positive. It was, I'm on the right track. But for my partner, left his job, quit his job, came over with me, wasn't his home country. And for him, it was all about like, how do we re-identify here and how do we find our footing? But you can look back and say that with ease, but when it's happening to you in the moment, and
Oh,
we were
goodness.
we were 40 years old, right? So like, at the time, and this is only 4 years ago now, and at the time when these things are happening, you don't realize that all the support mechanisms that create comfort in your life, your friendships, your culture, your food, all that stuff is like really high level. But then when you start going into the psychology of it, like I think we were talking about last time, the
Yes.
40,000 decisions that you make every single day, 99% of them are automated because you know what to expect. And this goes everything from where to park your car, where to how to use an ATM or something. And now you're in a new place. You're actually relearning these things, and they may not sound important, but they have a really, really high level of cognitive pull and cognitive energy drain. So you find yourself
Yes.
much more tired, much more frustrated. And what that means is you're now open to susceptible to things like depression, anxiety, fear, all these type of things start to creep in, and you're trying to navigate your way. So this was happening to me and my family. And my perspective was like, whoa, I've seen this 1,000 times. I've seen families split. I've seen, relationships break up and all this kind of stuff because I've moved over 4,000 people in my career. So I've seen this family dynamic happen. And I tried to warn my partner about it. But those relationship dynamics were so intimate that I could not, because it was my decision to come here, I kind of lost the right to
Right.
tell him what to do. And I don't know if that makes sense for folks,
It makes
but
a lot of sense.
what I'm getting at is that when we came here, we started to realize, hey, there's a lot more to this struggle than just moving, and we've got to figure this out. And nobody's looking at this. The closest people
Mm,
get is they start talking about culture. Hey, we'll do language training, we'll do culture training. What that means really is you're sitting down for 1 hour watching a presentation, a PPT, where someone says, Western culture is individualistic, Chinese culture is collective, blah, 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 blah. Here's a theory, here's a theory. 45 minutes pass. Any questions? Okay, move on. And they expect that that's going to help retain any kind of meaning in your life when you start going through these struggles that could be 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 5 months, whatever it is down the line. So, what I realized is we need to put together a system where people can rely on to get support for their well-being and their mental health, but they can't do that with just friends. And there's a lot of complications when it comes with that. For example,
mm,
friends are not maybe not equipped to do that. Second, when you're moving to a new place, you may not have the friends. And third, a really interesting phenomenon for a lot of, especially you, Martha, you said before you work with a lot of military folks and even the GSA individuals that move on
yes.
quite a lot. The struggle they have is no one gets me, right? And I was actually talking to an individual, I think I shared this before as well, but essentially she and her husband was in the military. They moved to the Netherlands for 4 years. And when they came back to Texas, where I'm based now, she said, oddly enough, her sons started to hide the fact, and they were teenage level, hide the fact that they had that relocation experience because people at school were picking on them for being pretentious, for being,
Mm,
ooh la di da, like things like that. And they would make fun of them and give them nicknames that they didn't like and all that. So they started to hide that experience. So, for example, it just shows up in simple things like if a teacher asked, do you speak any second languages? They knew Dutch, but now they would not answer. They said, no, we only know English. And they started to hide that experience because this is a phenomenon a lot of people face is that when you come back to integrate into your home country, not everybody has had that experience. And for them, it may sound very romantic. It may sound very amazing, even though there's a lot of struggles behind it. But what happens is it really sets you apart and it creates almost like an us versus them. And people don't like that. They feel like, oh, um, you're showing off, or you have
hmm
something that I don't have, so I'm jealous. All these kind of things start popping up, and you think it's very weird, but this is something that really happens. So anyway, I could give 100 examples for that. But so as we're going through this situation, I started to realize there's nobody there that exists, and we went out to seek help. So we went to a therapist, we went out to find a psychologist. Oh my gosh, that process, like we got to do something about that. I know there's some companies out there that are trying really hard to make it more like Spring Health and stuff like that. They're trying really hard to make it more manageable, but really they're focused only on corporates. They're really developing corporate programs. I mean, I understand that's where the dollar is, that's where the money is, all that kind of stuff. But what happens is when you look for a therapist, your choices are really limited. One, you look for a registered list for your state. So now you're getting
Yes.
names, degrees, years of experience, and trying to call these people, and hopefully they respond. And if they actually do respond, now you're like, okay, do you take my insurance? How do we pay? How do we set this up? And are you virtual? Are you in person? All these type of things. And that's not to even mention is, do you even know what I'm going through? Do you have experience that relates to me? So we wound up speaking with a specialist who was very amazing, really educated, had great credentials, but it hit us at the moment that she has no idea what we're going through. When literally we were telling her story that we were relocating from, she folded her hand, she looked at me with a big smile, she was like, "Oh my God, is that amazing?" And I was like, "Honey, if it was amazing, we would not be in this room right now, okay? Like, wake up! Like, I know it sounds great, like relocation
Right.
sounds sexy, it sounds amazing.
Right.
It's
It
like
does, but they don't know the underlying parts, right?
exactly. So that's what BetterGo originated from. It said, okay, so how do we pull two worlds, people who have relocated firsthand experience and get it, and then people who have competency and certifications in mental health like yourself that can be a huge value to families that are relocating and say, you know what, here's someone who not only has lived your lifestyle, but has relocated firsthand experience, and they're a mental health professional. They can actually help you and then create that in a kind of HIPAA compliant, confidential environment where employees can
hmm
feel free to reach out. And it's almost, and I'll finish on this point. For us, it's almost a double-edged sword because I wanted to create the most diverse platform possible to meet every type of family needs there could be. So we have on our platform, we have certified psychologists, therapists, we even have life coaches, we have mentors, we even have nutritionists and health coaches as well. And the idea was that if you're a family moving, and let's say you have type 2 diabetes, and you want to connect with someone who understands that lifestyle, you should have a resource to go to connect with that. Or if you're someone who has suffered in the past with depression and anxiety, and not clinical speaking, but
Hmm.
those kind of areas in life where you feel susceptible to, and you just want someone to be there for you that you can address them and not always be nagging your partner and being called negative Ned and all those kind of things, you should have someone you can go to. And why it's a double-edged sword is because it's very hard to be specific. And people want specifics. They want, what do you do? What problem do you solve? It's like,
Yes.
well, there's a lot of problems that we solve, but we're trying to create resources. And I think that's where I'll leave it off right now, is that's where we are building a diverse network of individuals from lifestyling and from certifications and competencies, and then also helping to connect that to families and the experiences that they're having in the moment.
That's amazing. And the fact that you even going in that direction, that's purposeful because it's so needed because you're right, people don't know. Relocation does sound really cool, but they don't know what you go through, all of the process from moving from one place to another psychologically. And that's one of the things that get left out a lot is the psychological part. That's in every aspect, right? And so you're bridging the gap in that area. So let me ask you a question. What message can we give companies? Because I think companies they have a relocation program and they always leave out that psychological part. So what message do you think should be extremely loud for corporations?
The first message I would leave is one that is common. Individuals will say, it's like, if there's a problem, we'll know about it. I guarantee you 100%, if you are in HR, if you are a global mobility manager, if you're in total rewards, you will not know the personal struggles your employees are going through. And even to the point on an exit interview, they won't share with you. And for me, I'm a perfect case and example. My company at the time had no idea what I personally was going through. I built a company, a startup around a solution for this problem. And still, when I finally left that organization, they had no idea what the struggles were that we were actually having. I remember my exit interview with the HR, and she was surprised. She's like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, it's been 4 years, but there's no point in talking about it now because it's not going to be addressed." So my message to HR is that if there's something wrong or there's something going on in the family, you won't know about it, but I guarantee you it will interrupt productivity. It
Yeah.
will hit performance. It will hit hard on employee retention, and it will affect teams because most of the people, when they're relocating, a lot of times it's talent that is relocating for leadership opportunities. And those leaders will affect those teams, either by not showing up fully, not being fully present, not being authentic, or being moody, angry, and if I may say, bitchy, creating an environment where employees feel threatened, employees don't feel safe. Their manager is unpredictable. They don't know what's going to happen. They may produce great work, but today is a bad day for them because it's a family matter. So they snap at you. All these type of dynamics that don't get recorded on an HR department level are going to be happening. And when people start leaving, when people start quitting, and managers start, excuse me, ending their assignments early, even at that point, you'll have data that shows there's a problem, but you won't be able to pinpoint it 99% of the time. And the reason being is because employees are not going to feel comfortable raising up these personal issues to their company because of stigmas surrounded by them. And I'll just give you a quick story and share with you an anecdote. I was sitting on a plane and it was really cool because I was at aisle seat. In the middle, there was a gentleman sitting here. I mean, straight as an arrow, black tie, white shirt, suit. And he was on the plane. I'm like, "Hey, buddy, calm down." But we're coming from Washington, D.C. So I was like, okay, I get it. And then on the window seat was a woman who sat down before he came. She was a neurosurgeon and a professor at a university. It was one of the, I think it was Northwestern actually. So anyway, so we were talking, we're diving into it, and I was saying, hey, I'm coming at it from this angle in terms of psychology and lifestyle, those kind of things, which is a very, very different from the neurological diseases that she works on. We're just sharing stories and all those kind of things. And she was very interested in how relocating can impact someone's mental well-being. And just when we're talking about this, the gentleman sits down between us. And now he's listening to our conversation cross over. And he just kind of puts his hand up and goes, I would never, ever do that. That would be career suicide. So for HR managers, when employees are thinking about telling you honestly what they're going through, this is the thoughts in their mind. Career suicide. If I tell them I'm struggling with depression, if I tell them I'm struggling with family matters, next promotion, and I know it's not going to be, we all have compliance, we all have requirements that we can't, make decisions based on someone's race, ethnicity, sexuality, all these kind of things. But we know for a fact that there are room discussions where a leader will say, I don't think now is the right time for him to relocate. They've got a lot going on, or this, or that, all these kind of things. And employees know this, and they're going to protect that. So if you really want to help their employees, offer them a safe, HIPAA compliant, and absolutely confidential outlet where they can get support and they can share with a professional that's going to help them. And in return, you'll get productivity, you'll get loyalty, and they will love you because they will say, oh my God, Mrs. HR, Mr. HR, you put this program together and it was a lifesaver for my family. Thank you so much.
And you are absolutely correct, because I worked in corp as well, and
Yeah.
I've seen if someone willing to relocate you, and they obviously believe in you, they want your services, they paying high dollar for the relocation, they paying you probably a bonus to even come, and then all of these mental health hurdles that you come with when you land to the position. It's all nice, and you tell your family, oh, I'm relocating, I got this bonus, and it's all nice. But then when you get there, you're inundated with so much psychological anxiety, stress, and all of the extra stuff that you had to move with, that you can't even be 100% in, right? And so that is taxing on the company. Not only that, the lack of transparency without losing credibility is huge. So they hide, and anything hidden cannot be healed. So we have to really be, I love what you're doing. I think it's great. I think companies need to think about reaching out to you, because they they would see the benefits of not just having a, program like that for the employees, but you will be seen as you care so much about your employees. Not only that, with the heightened anxiety and suicidal rates, you will be a part, you will be the catalyst to stop, to help prevent all of that. And so it'll be to their benefit to reach out to you. So what would be a way that you companies can reach out to you, and what is your onboarding process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking that. For us, we really look at engaging in the employee experience and helping to prove that, and partnering with HR to prove that. We understand, my background has been in corporate as well, so I understand the KPIs and the flames that HR's feet are being held to. And this is one of the biggest gaps in global mobility, is understanding the ROI of a relocation.
Mm.
Because a lot of planning will go into, well, the HR BP, whether it's the department head for the business unit, etc. They will put together the plan and say, hey, get us talent to go there. But once that gap is filled, there's not much ability to track and to monitor the success of that. So what we really want to do is come along HR and say, not only do we have a program that's going to prove efficacy, we're going to show you that. So one of the ways that we do that is we actually use real-time dashboards to show, and we have to do it anonymously because we can't show personal information, but we can show demographics. So things like age groups, things like gender, things like location, and across the 8 dimensions of well-being. And we're basing this on the WHO 5, which is really an assessment that looks at someone's ability to thrive wherever they are. And this data is really influential because they get to track that before and after sessions with our mobility mentors. So Martha, say for example, we have an employee coming into Texas and they're connecting with you, they're in oil and gas, and the company is like, well, how do we prove that this program is actually going to work? Well, they're able to track and to see that employee experience over 12 months intersected by sessions that they have directly with you and the impact that that has on their well-being by doing these timed pulse checks. So what we're all about is we're about proving the efficacy because we know your conversation come budget, come the end of the year, whatever it is going to be, you're going to be sitting down in front of someone who doesn't get this, who doesn't need to get this, but is going to be saying, why are we spending money on this program without actual proof? And that's what we want to provide to the HR managers, to the total rewards teams, and say, listen, we're coming at you. We're not an EAP that's going to show you only usage rates. We're going to show you efficacy rates. We're going to show you how the impact is going to happen. So when it comes to an onboarding process, companies can reach out to me. They can send an email to michael@bettergo.io. They can go to our website. We also open the services not only to corporate relationships where we have contracts where you'll get a better value price and all those kind of things because we can do bundles, we can do those type of things, but also your employees can come into our website directly, register, and then they can use on-demand services to book schedules with the mentors that we have in our system. So there's 2 ways that companies can go about it. One, they can reach out and say, hey, can we get a bundled price here? And can we work out a relationship where we're covering all the locations that are important to us globally? So we're in 18 different countries right now. So do we match that footprint? Can we match that footprint? A lot of that is the custom tailoring. You think if you're going in to get, a suit made, they're going to tailor the length of the arms. They're going to trim the pants, hopefully pull the waist in a little bit if you've been exercising. They're going to do all this kind of stuff. And that's what we'll do from a corporate relationship is say, first and foremost, where's your footprint? And let's start matching mentors to those locations. And then also looking at what's the demographics of your employees and really assessing, does our mentor base meet those demographics? So for example, if you're tech and you have younger individuals that tend to be between 20 and 30 years old, do we have mentors in those locations that can match that? If not, we're going to get them there. And then also looking at locations from a demographic perspective as well. Are we in Ireland? Are we in Dublin? Yes, we are. Are we in Buenos Aires? Where are we, And then identifying those locations. So that's a corporate relationship. Or second to that is just simply telling your employees, hey, this platform exists. You can log in, create your profile, and book sessions with individuals directly. And whatever you pay for, because we can use PayPal, we can use, whatever, Stripe, all the, payment platforms. It's literally, think of it like Amazon. You go in, you buy a service, you check out, you're done. We can provide receipts back to the corporation so they can either reimburse those and we can provide other resources. So B2B or B2C is an option. I would say the B2B is a better option because you have more proactive engagement there. But from an onboarding perspective, it's surprisingly very, very easy because we try to remove every hurdle there is. We want to make sure that a company can say, hey, we like BetterGo. We want to start. We're in May. We're coming into May. Sorry, we're in April now. We want to start May 1st. Can we do it? Yes, you can. Let's go ahead and do it. It makes it very simple for that.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm so excited for what you're doing. I love it. People need it, and people are relocating more and more every day. And so it's definitely needed. And I thank you so much for coming on to talk about BetterGo, because that's amazing how you started the company and the passion you have behind it. And now you guys get to meet the face behind the passion. So I will put the links in the video so everyone can definitely reach out, because it's so needed. I kid you not, I'm an advocate for it as well. So I love it. And so I just want to thank you so much for coming on the show and embracing your presence. And to the audience, if you feel like you know someone who's relocating, and even if they're not struggling, it is very important to get this video to them. Please send it out, subscribe to the channel, because I'm always pulling on amazing people to talk to you, to help you with your mental health and well-being. So thank you so much for listening, and we are signing off.
It's your time to shine. Your journey's a chart. Coach Rice wisdom will heal it. advice. Welcome to Mondays with Coach Rice.